Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bending Time with Daryl Sweeney. I am your host, Daryl Sweeney. A lot of people call me their leadership coach, their executive coach, but the game you and I are playing here is we're here to shift the way we think about leadership and more importantly, shift the way we show up as leaders. Because if the things we're learning, the things we're reading, we're listening to, we're watching aren't impacting how we're showing up in our work and in our lives, then what's the point? So let's not make this about more information. Let's make this about shifting some things in your life. And today, I've got an incredible question. One of the things I want to do here is bring you things from my world, bring you things that I'm experiencing that have been impactful for me that I think will also be impactful for you. And today is just that. So I want to start with a quick story, and that takes me back a couple weeks to a mastermind call. I have a mastermind call every Friday with 5 incredible coaches, and each one of them always brings in really powerful perspective. Now, I don't think this was the plan, but we actually happen to be in 5 different countries. So it's a global perspective that comes in, and these guys are doing incredible things, right? We're all playing big games in the world of coaching, and we learn from each other each and every day. And perhaps you've been in groups like this, maybe mastermind groups, maybe groups within your organization. Maybe you're leading a group like this right now. But for us, we're always asking ourselves what's possible, right? With 5 powerful coaches in a room, right? It sometimes feels like we should be getting more out of the time we spend together. We should be doing more with it. And we've been meeting for about 18 months. And so when you look back, I can tell you there's been 2 or 3 times where we say there's more available to us. And before you know it, we're into a conversation about how let's add this kind of structure or let's add this piece or, let's make sure we share ahead of time what we're bringing into the room or the topics or the challenges or whatever it may be. So we keep adding structure and it's all well intentioned. Our goals have always been to get more out of our time together, to be able to serve one another, to support one another, and to be served and supported in a powerful way that affects our businesses. And so it's structure on top of structure on top of structure. Now, what happened for us is we end up saying we're going to do a lot of things, and then it doesn't happen. We say we're going to be here every Friday, and other things come up. Right? We say we're going to fill out our availability, and we forget to do it. We say we're going to communicate in a certain way, and that doesn't happen. And this turned into a really fascinating conversation a couple weeks back. And I want to credit Moritz Lambert, an incredible coach who's doing incredible work with clients all over the world. And he started the meeting by just challenging us and asking a simple question. Right? Why is it that we keep saying we're going to do all these things and then we struggle to do them? We're not doing them. We don't do them. He said, we are far too powerful. We are far too committed, right? We show up and we work with people on integrity and being their word and doing what they say they're going to do. And it seems like we're struggling to do that very thing in this room. Now, when I first heard this, I heard it as a challenge, as a call to arms, as an opportunity to step into being my word and being more powerful and doing what I say I'm going to do. But then Moritz said this. He said, why don't we stop? Why don't we set down a lot of the structure, a lot of the rules? Why don't we quit telling one another we're going to do things that we're not going to do? And I think this is an important part of showing up as a powerful leader is not only doing what you say you're going to do, but what if we just don't say we're going to do the things that we're not going to do or we don't really want to do? Now, that choice isn't always available, but often it is. In that meeting, Moritz went on to ask us this, and this became the foundation of the conversation. This became a question that rocked me, not only in that setting, but has had me looking around other parts of my life and other parts of my business ever since. He asked, what are we making necessary that isn't truly necessary? What are we making necessary to this mastermind call, to this group that isn't truly necessary? That's the question I want you to sit with. I want you to think about that for a moment. And you can choose any setting. Perhaps it's your team at work. Right? Perhaps it's you as an individual in the office. or in the organization. Perhaps it's a setting at home. Perhaps it's your path to taking your health to the next level. I'm willing to bet that if we really looked around our work and our lives, we'd see a lot of things that we're making necessary that isn't truly necessary to create the result we want to create, to really get what we want to get. So, again, I like to keep these videos short and I like to give you something to walk away with and reflect on. So, here's my invitation. Take a step back. When you go into the office today, when you meet with your team, when you look at how you're doing the things you're doing, what are the components? What have you brought in or added that isn't serving you anymore, that just isn't necessary? When you look at your calendar this week, are all of those meetings truly necessary? I had a client that I spoke with recently, and he has a lot of face-to-face meetings with his clients. And as he wants to scale and grow the business, he knows he needs time to work on the business and not just in the business. And he wants to maintain these relationships. And he's really struggling to figure out, well, how do I do that? How do I have time to work on the business, grow the number of clients I have, and do all the other things that I have to do? Spend the time face to face with them. And we talked about, but where this landed, we'll fast forward through a whole coaching session, but where it landed was he was really able to see that he can still maintain an incredibly high standard with his clients. He can deeply serve his clients. We actually talked about elevating the way he serves his clients and meeting with them less, right? So to be, in this case, he runs a team of financial advisors, but in this case, he can offer a higher level of service and spend less face-to-face time with his clients. Those two things aren't connected. He was making necessary him being one-on-one and spending a bunch of face time with his clients, a necessary component to him serving them at a world-class level. And we actually found and saw opportunities to serve them at a higher level and spend less time with them. Right? So I want you to take this example and run with it. Right? Take the example of, as far as our mastermind, we realize that we don't need to come up with the topics ahead of time. We don't need a certain person to lead each call. Right? We don't need a commitment to show up in the chat. If we have something to share, something to talk about, share it. And if you don't. Right? We don't need to do all of these things in order to create the result we want. So now I'm giving you two examples of situations where there were things that aren't necessary, but we were treating them as necessary. And once we see that, we're able to drop them. So what is it for you? Where in your business, where in your life, where in your family, where are you making things necessary that truly aren't necessary? Identify what those things are and then make a decision about what you want to do with them. I would invite you to drop them. I would invite you to let them go. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you've gotten a lot of value out of this idea, this thought, this challenge. If you know somebody in your world who this would be useful for, share it. Right? Send them a link. Drop it in their email, do what you do to get it in front of them. The last thing I'll tell you, and I've mentioned it before, is one of the things that I'm creating is the SCG Leadership Institute, a 6-month program designed for leaders who want to elevate who they're being as a leader and the results they and their teams are creating. If that's interesting to you, check it out on the website, darrellsweeney.com. It's going to be an incredible 6-month journey that will leave you changed forever. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. See you next time.